There are moments in life when you feel as though you're standing at the edge of something vast, something unknown. Your heart beats a little faster. Your thoughts race. You wonder, what's next? You ask yourself if the life you've been living so far is all there is to it. You've had dreams, aspirations, and hopes that sometimes feel out of reach, tucked away in the corners of your mind. But deep inside, there's a feeling that something bigger is waiting for you, something that will reveal itself at the right time. This is the story of a journey that you might have already started, whether you realize it or not. A story of discovering your true self, of tapping into the strength that lies dormant within you, and of overcoming the battles that have shaped you. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself back in the beginning of your story. Do you remember the days when you didn't know who you were or what you were meant to become? The uncertainty, the confusion, the feeling that you were searching for something outside of yourself, trying to fill a space that felt empty? In those days, you felt like you were always trying to fit in. You wore masks that hid the true essence of who you were. You tried to conform to the expectations of others, believing that acceptance, approval, and success lay in being what the world told you to be. It wasn't always easy, was it? You struggled to figure out how to be comfortable in your own skin, how to navigate the endless pressures, how to silence the doubts that whispered in your mind. But then, something happened. Something small at first. Maybe you didn't notice it right away, but there was a shift to change. You began to question the things you'd been told. You started to realize that the version of yourself you had been projecting was just a fraction of who you were meant to be. You began to feel the stirrings of something deeper, something more authentic. There was a pull, a quiet whisper, calling you to remember who you really were. It wasn't an easy awakening. You may have fought it at first, resisting change, feeling scared of what might come if you embraced this new version of yourself. You were used to being someone else, being someone who fit into the world's box. The thought of stepping outside that box felt like stepping into the unknown. And the unknown, well, that's a scary place to be. We're all afraid of what we don't understand. We fear what might happen if we let go of everything we've ever known. But then, the more you sat with that feeling, the more it grew. You couldn't ignore it any longer. You began to see things differently. The masks you had worn for so long began to slip off, piece by piece. It wasn't instantaneous. It took time. But slowly, you began to peel back the layers of who you had been told to be, and uncover the true self underneath. You may have felt vulnerable during this time. There were moments when you doubted yourself, when the old voices crept back in, telling you that you weren't enough, that you couldn't make the changes you so desperately wanted. It was hard to trust that this new path was the right one, wasn't it? You wondered if you were doing the right thing, if you would ever truly find peace in your own skin. But something inside of you refused to give up. You knew, deep down, that you were meant for more. You weren't born to live someone else's life. You were born to create your own, to carve your own path, and to embrace the fullness of who you are. And as you began to trust yourself more, to believe in the strength that was awakening within you, the world around you started to change. Not in dramatic, loud ways, but in subtle, beautiful shifts. You began to notice things you hadn't noticed before. The way the sunlight hit the leaves on a tree. The way the wind felt on your skin. The sound of your own voice when you spoke from a place of truth. You became aware of your own power, and the quiet confidence that began to grow within you was like a light shining brighter every day. It wasn't arrogance. It wasn't a show. It was the quiet knowing that you were enough, just as you were, that you didn't need to be anyone else, to be worthy of love, success, or happiness. But growth isn't always a smooth path. There were times, as you stepped forward, when the old voices, those doubts, those fears came rushing back in, louder than ever. It felt like a tug of war inside you. One part of you wanted to keep moving, wanted to trust this new path, but another part of you, the part that still carried old wounds, was scared. Scared of failure, scared of rejection, scared of the unknown. The fear was real, wasn't it? You faced it, just like we all have. The fear of what might happen if you try and fail. The fear that maybe you weren't strong enough, or worthy enough, to step into your full potential. It's a fear that keeps many people stuck. It keeps them in their comfort zones, where things are familiar, even if they're not happy. But you chose to face that fear. You chose to move forward despite it, to step into the unknown with courage. There were times when you stumbled. There were moments when you questioned whether this journey was worth it. You've fallen, haven't you? We all have. You've made mistakes, encountered obstacles that seemed impossible to overcome. There were days when you felt lost, when you thought you couldn't keep going. But here's the thing. Every single one of those moments has been a part of your growth. Every mistake, every fall, has been a lesson in disguise. You see, growth doesn't happen without discomfort. It doesn't happen without challenges. It's in those moments of struggle that we learn who we truly are, what we're capable of, and what we need to let go of. And as you kept going, as you kept pushing forward, you began to realize something profound. You were never alone in this journey. There were times, no doubt, when you felt isolated, when you felt like you were walking alone in the dark, unsure of what was ahead. But looking back now, you can see the hand of God, or the universe, or whatever higher power you believe in, was always with you. You weren't meant to walk this path by yourself, and you didn't have to. The people who came into your life, the friends, the mentors, the teachers, they were there for a reason. And the lessons they brought were just as vital as the lessons you learned alone. You learned to trust, to open yourself up to love and support. You learned to lean into relationships, to be vulnerable and share your story with others. And little by little, you began to create a life that was truly yours. A life that felt aligned with who you are at your core. You stopped living for the approval of others and started living for yourself. You stopped chasing external validation and started seeking internal fulfillment. You stopped measuring your worth by what others thought of you, and you started to measure your worth by the way you showed up for yourself every day. Do you see it now? Can you feel the difference between the person you once were, the one who was unsure, uncertain, wearing masks, and the person you are today? The person who knows who they are, who stands tall in their truth, and who moves forward with confidence and grace. Your journey hasn't been perfect, but it has been beautiful. Every step, every stumble, every moment of fear has led you here, to this place of understanding, to this place of peace. And this is just the beginning. The journey you're on will continue to unfold in ways you can't yet imagine. The best parts of your story are still ahead of you. You've come so far. You've faced your demons, fought your battles, and emerged stronger than you were before. You've learned to trust yourself, to trust the process, and to trust that you are exactly where you need to be. You've learned that it's not about reaching some far-off destination, but about embracing the journey itself. about embracing every step, every challenge, and every triumph as part of your growth. So, as you move forward, remember this: you are worthy of everything that lies ahead. You are capable of achieving things you once thought impossible. The world is waiting for you to step fully into your power and share your unique gifts with it. You have everything you need within you to create the life you've always dreamed of. There is nothing holding you back but yourself. The only limits are the ones you set. So go forward with courage. Go forward with love. Go forward with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are exactly where you need to be. And remember, the journey is yours, and it is beautiful.